Hello, my name is Kai, and I am a bit of a rambler. I like to travel, learn, and tell stories. And this week, I'm going to ramble on again. It took me 2 weeks of eating the smoked ribs and smoked bacon pretty much every day to kind of tire of the taste after 2 weeks. But not really, because I'm still eating it. The smoked ribs and bacon here are so good and absolutely are going to be a food I miss when I move on from Cusco, which I have decided to stay in longer again. I might stay the full 3 months. I think part of the reason that I kind of got tired of the taste of the smoked ribs and bacon is because it is one taste, and it's a fantastic taste. Especially for me, I love smoked foods. But the regular food in Peru is really good, and there's such a variety. Oh, by the way, if you hear a audio interference, it's probably the rain. It's been raining all day and night, and I figured I love the rain, so I'll just make this episode despite it. But if it's too loud, you can let me know, and I won't record during the rain. Well, maybe. I don't know. I like the rain. Anyway, you can let me know. bitofarambler@gmail.com. But Peru, what I'm saying is the smoked stuff I love, but Peru has such a vast array of great food, it consistently knocks me off my feet. I really like that every day restaurants have a new menu. They make like 3 or 4 main dishes generally, like the small local mom and pop shops. And they make them fresh that day, and then at the end of the day, they eat the rest of that or get rid of it, and then the next day they have a whole new menu of 3 or 4 dishes with the fresh ingredients from that day. And that's how a lot of the restaurants run here, so every day I can go back to the same restaurant where I know the chef is good, and they're going to make a new good food that I like. But the thing is, most chefs here in Peru are good, and there's such a huge range of food. Like, the chicken is prepared in any number of ways, and they have a lot of Asian influences from Japanese and Chinese immigrants. So you have a fusion, but it's from 150 years ago, so it's a really, at this point, traditional, authentic, authentic's such a terrible word, but they've been cooking with this sort of Asian fusion for so long, they've incorporated a lot of it into their flavors. Like soy sauce has become integral in certain types of sauces for some of their food. Like there's the pollo a la soya, which is soy sauce chicken, and it's this very deep, rich broth, brown broth, with a soy sauce base, but there's a bunch of Peruvian ingredients like the rocoto pepper and other stuff inside that it's fantastic. It's as good as any sauce. You know what I was going to say, any sauce, but then I'm like, well, it's not exactly mala. But Peruvian cuisine in general is so good, and every dish I try, beefsteak a la ollo, of course the pollo dorada, even just the alitas, like the malaya frita, the costilla frita, like there's so much good food here, the huacate, that I was like, am I crazy, or is the food like it's better than most countries? After like 2 weeks here trying the local dishes and eating, of course, all that smoked ribs and bacon, I said to myself, man, I'm going to miss the food here. And a country can have plenty of good food, but I don't miss a lot of the food once I leave a country. I know I'm going to miss a lot of the Peruvian cuisine. I know I'm going to miss beefsteak a la ollo, which is oil-fried steak in a broth that they use from that after you fry it. I know I'm going to miss the smoked foods, of course. So I looked it up, and I'm not alone. Peru is consistently ranked in the top 15 cuisines of the world. You know, there's usually Greek and Italian's up there, Chinese is up there. But Peruvian is in like the top 15, and I'm very curious because nobody would think about Peru as a top cuisine. I just don't think it's a super pop culture-y popular country in the consciousness of global culture. So I wonder if it was a popular country in the same way that Italy or China is a popular country in global consciousness, if it would be ranked consistently higher. I don't know. Polish and Portuguese cuisine are pretty high on the list also. I don't know anything about Polish cuisine, except for pierogies, which are not my favorite. And Portuguese cuisine, I mean, I lived there. I liked the food. It didn't knock my socks off. The baked goods and the fried fish were good, but I don't remember them like I remember meals in other countries. But then most of the countries I remember, I've been to that country more. But then I probably went to that country more because I was so enamored of the cuisine. But then again, I do love Portugal and would love to go back, so who knows? What I am sure of is that, yeah, like I said, other people do agree with me. Peru consistently in the top 10% of global cuisine. And for my money, there's just much more variety. Like, they really cook all sorts of things. They'll cook fried noodles, which are the only thing I've had here that I'm not super impressed by. But they also have, fried ribs. They have steamed ribs. They have stewed trout. They have fried trout. They have steamed, fried, braised chicken. They just cook everything. They even have hamburgers that they have those hamburgers here that are only in a few countries. I don't really like American hamburgers. They're generally made too thick and they're too tough. And there are too many toppings that are boring, like thick tomato slices or whole leaves of lettuce. It's good to have vegetables with your stuff, but having a big, drooping, warm piece of lettuce on a hamburger has never made any sense to me. On the other hand, if you have shaved cabbage mixed in a coleslaw and that's on a hamburger, yeah, that's a great salad topping. There's a lot of... I think cabbage is way better than lettuce anyway. It holds up better under heat and it tastes better. Like, there's a little bit of spiciness to a cabbage, especially a shaved cabbage, like in coleslaw sliced form. And they have those hamburgers here. Okay, so the hamburgers in most countries are thick patties of beef that get too tough. And in a few countries, Laos had this. Thailand, I believe, has had them, but they're not very popular there. And Thailand's barbecued meat is good, but a little overcooked for me most of the time. Wow, you might actually be able to hear the rain. It's really coming down. But Peruvian hamburgers are like the Laotian hamburgers that are thin, and there's a higher content of fat, I think is what it is, mixed in. So you have a thin patty that's easy to bite through, but it's also softer than the traditional 90-10 hamburger patty that Americans like. It's either that, or what I'm actually wondering is if they're mixing in a few herbs like ginger and peppers and other vegetables, because that would also make the patty easier to bite through and softer and more flavorful, because it's not just meat. I don't want them to mix in like breadcrumbs, which is very popular in the US as well, because that doesn't really add anything except a gummier texture. But if I'm going to make hamburgers, or if I'm going to make a ground meat, if ground meat is an ingredient in something, just like when I would make tacos, it's kind of traditional to throw in some diced onions. I will mince a bunch of onions, mince a bunch of garlic, mince even carrots, mince some tomatoes, and having a mix of vegetables in a patty makes it really soft and super flavorful. Not a ton, but just if you throw in half a cup of each with whatever beef you're mixing up, great texture. So here they have really thin beef patties that are easy to bite through, lots of flavor. They do hamburgers real good here, and I don't really like hamburgers. And honestly, I've only gotten 2 so far, but both of them have been good, and the toppings they use, like I said, are some kind of mixed shaved vegetables with coleslaw, rather than 2 thick pieces of raw vegetables that are gonna just fall out and you can't do anything with. Okay, that's my food rant. mostly, I'll just reiterate one more time. Eat Peruvian cuisine. If you got a Peruvian restaurant around you that has some good reviews, it's definitely worth checking out. There's just such a variety of cooking methods, and they're all pretty good. Like whether it's soy chicken or roasted chicken or stuffed peppers, which they do really well, rocota rellena. There's just so much good food here that I will miss all the good food when I move on. And now, Peru, like, the food is definitely part of the reason I've stayed here longer than I thought I was going to. It's basically, the nature is amazing. I can hike everywhere. There are mountains surrounding me everywhere. There are glaciers and lakes, and the food is great. So between nature, great food, and my accommodation is great. Like, it's not an expensive country, so the places I've been staying are very nice and not very expensive. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom for less than $300 per month. I don't want to be vague. I hate that when someone's like, yeah, and there's great cheap housing here. I'm like, okay, do you do great? Like, what do you mean? I mean, it's a huge condo with a giant living room, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, full kitchen, washing machine, less than $300. And that's if you pay on an app. If you're paying in cash, it goes down closer to $200 per month. And that's for private residences. They also have the hospedajes and hostels here. But so far, all of the hospedajes, which are like a private room and a bathroom, seem really expensive to me, like $9 per day, but you get 1-bedroom private bathroom. So still cheap, like $300 per month. But you can get triple the space and a much more private area if you just rent the private residences. I don't know. I would figure the hospedajes would be so much cheaper since the locals seem to use them, and there's so many of them. I don't really understand that. I have to maybe ask more hospedajes. The ones I went to were both between $9 and $17 a night, US, and that's insane for the regular prices you can rent here. What was I talking about? How good the food is here in Peru, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying it while I'm here. Okay, so moving on from the fantastic food here, smoked ribs and bacon, and their accompanying freshly made fresh menus every day. I found this pizza place that I like a lot, but the only ingredient the pizza place doesn't have is anchovies, which I think they said it's just because it's not a very popular ingredient. Like, they had it for a while, but literally nobody ordered them. So they stopped getting the ingredient. But that's one ingredient that's going to last forever. And that's my favorite ingredient. Not really. That's not even true. But every now and then it becomes my favorite. Like, I'll have one pizza and then I don't have to get anchovies every time. But if I get maybe every 4th pizza, anchovies, Kalamata peppers, onions, yeah, baby. That's a solid, tasty experience for me. And their bread is so good that their pizza crusts are often made very well. The pizza crusts have texture and flavor here in Peru, which is super rare. You get textured, flavored pizza dough in Italy, of course, where they let it rise and sit like it's supposed to. And then when I make pizza, I try to let I make fresh pizza dough myself. But outside of that, there's no restaurant, unless you know a special restaurant near you in the US, you're not getting real pizza dough. It's just that fluffy bread base. That's not pizza dough. That's just white bread. And if the toppings are good enough, then white bread is okay for a pizza. But pizza itself is made, like, the crust is an integral part of the pizza experience. And Peruvians make their pizza dough correct. It has texture and it has a flavor to it that you notice when you're eating it, as you should with pizza. But they don't crisp the bottom. They don't blacken the bottom. And I have to take the pizza home and then throw it in the frying pan real quick and crisp the bottom, because it's almost right. And they did crisp the bottom the first time. And then since then, they didn't crisp the bottom. And I was like, no. But these are not real problems, so we'll move on. So instead of my anchovy pizza from this first place. I got smoked chorizo and capers and all these other ingredients, and it was good. I went to that pizza place a few times, and I liked it a lot. I liked it more than most pizzas in most countries, but there was something just missing a little bit. Like one thing was they always put a plastic sheeting down, so the pizza would sweat because of the humidity it's giving off since it's hot. And I got them to stop putting the plastic pizza sheeting on top, but they always put it on the bottom, even when I tell them not to. So there's this other place that I started going to instead because it was on the second floor, and it just says pizzeria, and there's no real advertisements, and you have to walk upstairs to get to it. So I don't think it's as popular, but I was like, I bet they're better at cooking pizza. And the thing is, they take longer to cook their pizzas, but it is better. Definitely. The crust itself is better. Oh, Peruvian pizza is probably better also because they all use real wood-fired pizza ovens to cook their pizza. All the local restaurants, even the mom and pop selling, like the old grandma selling tiny mini pizzas, uses a miniature pizza oven, but it's still a wood-fired pizza oven. So they do use real pizza ovens to cook their pizza. That's probably part of why it's so good. But this new place just cooked 10% better. And they also have the problem with not blackening the crust every time. But the bread, the dough, the pizza bread they make is fantastic, and the ingredients are super fresh. They don't have anchovies either, but they do have Kalamata olives and onions and all the other, and bacon and all the good stuff. So that's my new place now. So, and I'm pretty sure I don't need to switch again. Their only problem is not blackening the crust on the bottom, but I don't know, they probably would if I asked them to do it, but I don't want them to blacken it too much, and I'm perfectly fine with frying it at home anyway in my frying pan real quick, so I get a crisper crust. Across the street from that second pizza place, I found Chinese baozi, and it's $5 for each one, but they're huge. They're bigger than my fist, like the meat in the middle. So it's a very substantial meal for 5 soles, which is like $1.25, I guess, something like that. $1.35 maybe. But you get a big old bao. So if you're looking to eat cheap, you can get one of those baozis, make some rice, and live on like $3 a day here pretty easily. The vegetables are also incredibly cheap here. If you go to the local markets, cabbage is so cheap here. A quarter of a cabbage is 25 cents, or maybe a fifth of a cabbage, but 25 cents. So a whole cabbage is $1 to $1.25. And that's a lot of food and a lot of nutrients and vitamins. And cabbage is such a good addition to anything where you want some crunch and flavor and texture. I'm really into cabbage these days. I guess this is all going to be about food. Never mind. I thought I was going to... I have a lot of stuff to talk about, but I forgot to write down a whole bunch of this Peruvian food stuff. And I've been thinking this whole time I've been living here, God, all of this food is so good. There's pretty much nothing I don't like. And even the stuff I usually don't like tripe or short intestine, they can cook it well. I don't like the short intestine it's big intestine. I don't like the big intestine too much. But I had it cooked, and you get 4 big rings of it. And 3 of them smelled like intestine, which is kind of gross for me, personally. But the 4th piece was just fried frickin' perfectly, and the bad smell wasn't there, and the good texture was there, so it tasted like a calamari ring, just cooked perfectly, and I ate that whole piece, and it was great. And Chinese people love intestine and frying intestine. That stuff always tastes gross to me. I've never liked it in China. I think this is the first time I've tried big intestine and been pleasantly surprised by the preparation. That is said, with 1/4 of the intestine they did make for me, I still was not a huge fan. But I ate probably about half of them, although I won't be ordering it again. It's still intestine, it's bowels, and it smells like bowels. Except this one piece, which didn't smell like bowels. I don't know. Maybe if you just cook them right, they don't stank. Or maybe that was a different part of the intestine. It was closer to the throat than the stomach or pooper. So Peru has really good baked goods. That's why their pizza dough is so good. But the second place I go to includes a calzone with each pizza you get. Even if you get a small personal pizza, they still include a calzone. And the calzone innards, if you don't ask, they just put in sliced hot dog. They say sausage, but it's just sliced local hot dog. But you can get bacon in there instead, which I will do. But it's basically a croissant. It's so fluffy. Like I said, their pizza dough is so flavorful with great texture, and their calzone is just a big fluffy piece of pizza dough. And man, very soft, but very strong flavor, very chewy texture. It's clear they let their dough sit overnight or longer because the bread is so activated. It's just a live bread. It's fantastic. And the outside, you have to bite through, but it's not like crunchy or it's soft. It's such a good calzone. I freaking love it. And the cheese here, I didn't even mention the cheese yet. Cheese in Peru is fantastic. Just the regular Andean cheese they use on everything. Very flavorful, salty, delicious, and it goes great in a freaking calzone. The other place, the first pizza place that I liked, gave free garlic bread with every order, and the garlic bread also extremely good because their butter here is real and their garlic here is fresh. And considering the elevation, I really did not have high hopes for Peruvian cuisine, but I've been to enough countries that I don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, that's correct. But when I tried the food here, I was like, whoa, these ingredients are fresh. And part of it is definitely, like I said, they make 3 dishes a day, and it's with fresh ingredients they bought that day. So you're just always getting fresh ingredients made into fresh food right in front of you. And the next day, almost every day, they have different dishes that are fresh. So the food here is super fresh, but also their bread is cooked really well. And you can just tell when you bite into bread that has been leavened longer, like you're waiting for it to rise longer, the yeast has been in there longer, you just have a more complex flavor with a much more interesting texture. So either the calzone or the garlic bread, whatever accompaniment I get with my pizza, super, super. It's great. Although I do think I like the calzone better because I think that place makes slightly better bread. It's just, maybe they just let it sit longer. Maybe they just don't even think about it. They just let their dough sit longer so they don't have to prepare it as much every day. But they really need their dough too. That's the thing about the second place. It also takes maybe 3 times as long for me to get my pizza from them. But it's because the dude is kneading the pizza dough right before he makes it, or the lady, and they're really going at it for like 10 minutes. They're kneading this dough again before they make it into a fresh pizza right in front of you. And the first time I was like, holy crap, this is a 30-minute pizza. But you know what? They have better bread, and their ingredients are just as fresh. The only thing they don't have here is a heavy sauce. The sauce is good, but I would definitely like 2 or 3 times more of it. It's just a coating rather than a layer. It should be a layer, in my opinion. But I barely notice because the food's so good anyway. Because the bread is so good, you don't need a ton of sauce, which is very Italian. Their sauce is very thin also in Italy, like the pizzas in the actual country of Italy. They don't use a lot of sauce. I use more sauce when I make my pizzas, but my sauce is like a focal point because I mix in spicy peppers and a lot of... Mine is almost like a paste. I'll reduce my tomatoes down a lot, and then after I make them, I mix in a few seeds and some fresh garlic, and then I let that sit so the flavor gets through the whole thing, and ooh, baby, that's pretty good sauce. But these pizzas are good. Everyone makes their pizzas different, and these dudes do it well, and they give you a free calzone with each one. 24 minutes of Peruvian food talk. I hope you came here for the food talk because that's what this ended up being. That's good. The food here is great. I can't recommend Peru enough for the archaeology, like the living archaeology of 100-year-old walls built without mortars with stones that weigh hundreds of pounds. Fascinating, super cool to see. That alone, you should come to Cusco because you can walk out of the city, pretty much inside the city with Sacsayhuaman, but without paying for a ticket and just self-directed exploring. You can walk 30 minutes outside of the city and there are amazing archaeological artifacts and intact walls that I'm talking about, these Incan walls just standing there that you can go touch. Amazing. So worth visiting for that. But now that I'm more familiar with the cuisine and I've tried, the variety is, I mean, it's been over 6 weeks I've been here. Almost every day I'll go out and see what's going on. And some days if I find 4 new dishes, because some days I'm like, what the heck is huacate? Or what the heck is the pollo dorada or whatever? What's the difference between costilla frita and malaya frita? I'll find 4 new dishes and I'll just try all 4. I'll just eat 4 lunches in a row or 4 dinners in a row just so I can try all of the foods. And I've been doing that for weeks now and I still haven't tried everything. There's so many variations of cuisine here. Most countries have many different foods, but they are pretty similar a lot of the time. So many of these Peruvian dishes are extremely distinct. Like I mentioned, the fried tripe, and then you'll have beef fried ribs, but you also have beef stewed ribs, and then you have the pork fried ribs. They have their smoked ribs. They have barbecue chicken. They have chicken wings, a cevichada, which is with ceviche style. They're dry fried, and then after they're dry fried, they put like a ceviche sauce on top, but it's not the regular ceviche sauce from the fish. It's specifically made for the chicken. Every dish is very distinct here, and they have so many dishes. It's a very impressive national menu, at least in Cusco. And I'm in the local neighborhood, so there's not a ton of sushi restaurants and hamburger restaurants and like international foods. There looks like there's a ton in the city center, but I don't want to go near there because I'm sure they're good. But inevitably, the local restaurants are going to be a consistently higher quality than the international fusion restaurants that are made for tourists in the city center, catering to the broadest flavors, which end up being slightly bland and adulterated in some way with maybe more sugar or too much salt or just not as strong flavors. They certainly won't let the bread rise for 24 hours like these places down here do in the local areas. The bistec a la ollo, they gotta get it out because it's the tourist center. People are waiting for their food. I doubt it's gonna be as good as locals, but you know what? I should put my money where my mouth is and head into the tourist center and just see how the restaurants are there. Oh, except, you know what the other thing is? I know that the tourist center, their prices are like any American city. A hamburger can be $14 US, which is insane. The hamburgers are $2 here in my neighborhood. Everything is $2. That's the other. Oh my gosh. Yep, this is all going to be about food. All going to be about food. So the dishes, like I said, in the city center, you're basically paying a slightly reduced American city price. And I guess you're not going to be paying tip, or maybe they do that in the city center. I don't know. But Peruvians, you don't tip generally, like most countries in the world. And I saw 10 USD burgers, and even the crappy sodas in the bodegas in the city center are 3 or 4 times more expensive. Out here in my local neighborhood, which is a 5-minute bus ride away, as soon as you're outside of the tourist center and you're in the local places, all of the foods are 7 to 8 soles. Some of them are 6. I have paid 6 to 8 soles in all these restaurants, and that's $175 to $225. USD for a full portion. So when I was talking about going out and getting 4 lunches in a row, I'm still paying less than $10 a day for getting 4 fresh cooked hot meals from 4 different places. I'm paying well below $10 for those 4 meals. That is another pretty great reason to try Peruvian cuisine, I guess. But you can get cheap food in many places. It's just that you get complete meals. For those $2 or $175, you get the protein, so you're going to get fish or chicken or beef or pork, plus a healthy dose of rice, plus an introductory soup, plus vegetables on the side, and probably a baked potato. So you get a full meal for that $1.75 or $2. To be honest, it's too much rice and vegetables, and I've started telling restaurants, can you just give me less rice and like no soup maybe? But they have so many sides and dishes with everything that I always end up forgetting to tell them one thing, and I'll get the soup that I forgot to say no soup, or I'll get the rice, because this time I remembered to say no soup, but I forgot the rice. I have tried to say, can I just get a half portion of rice? And they're like, yeah, totally. But I always get the same amount of rice. I always get a huge scoop of rice. I don't know. I went to this one place and I was like, I just don't want any vegetables or rice, please. This is my third dinner, so I really want the beefsteak a la ollo. I'm curious to try your beefsteak a la ollo, but I really don't need any vegetables or rice. I don't want to waste your vegetables and rice. And she was like, yeah, okay, no problem. And then I got a huge piece of meat and like 15 sliced and fried pieces of potato in a huge bowl of broth and soup. And I was like, oh my God, it's so good. The broth was so good. They clearly made it from the fried juices from the fried beefsteak a la ollo and the oil. And so I ate some of the potatoes, even though I was totally full already. And she gave me a dessert, the mazamorra that I've been seeing around, which is like a preserved fruit jam sort of mixed together, but you just eat it like a gelatin, like a Jell-O cup. Incredibly sweet, but clearly made with real fruit. Like it's clearly real pulverized fruit and sugar mixed in. Man, there's so much food here. I've been here for 6 weeks and I never tried the mazamorra, even though it's everywhere. I don't eat a ton of sweet stuff, but this time I think they were like, oh, we couldn't give him more vegetables and any rice, so we have to give him something. And they gave me all that stuff, that huge beefsteak a la ollo, and I'm pretty sure that was $6. Pretty sure that was $1.75. If that much. It's 6 soles for that huge meal that's so good. Man, I really want another beefsteak a la ollo now. And they cooked it different in another place. It was more soy-based in the first place that I discovered beefsteak a la ollo, and I was like, whoa, this meal. And now I've had it, and it's, oh man, it's just so good. The food here is so freaking good. And if you're not in the city center, if you're out in any local neighborhood, it costs less than $2 for a plate, or maybe up to $2.25 USD per plate. But these kind of prices with the consistency of quality, it can really only be compared to China or India in terms of food that is this cheap, this consistently good, with this range of variety, except I think it has more variety than Indian food. Indian food is great and they have a lot of different dishes, but I think Peruvian might have more different dishes. Maybe it's just because they have the proteins that Indian cuisine doesn't have as common, so it's not sticking out in my mind. All the vegetable stuff is minced vegetables together, which is fantastic, and I have been eating lately, ever since India, I'm like, man, if you just mince vegetables and put them together with some sauces, you get a great paste. So I've been getting bags of jalapeno chips. Oh, they're fried. Oh man, they're potato chips. That's right. They have 3 different local potato chips here. They don't even mess. They have the American brands, but they're so clearly like, here's some total crap if you want it. But their fried potato chips here are so much better. They're real potatoes, thinly sliced and fried, and they use their own spices on them. The potato chips here, there's just no, I know kettle chips finally became popular in the US, and people are like, no, I need crispy kettle chips. All of the real potato chips around the world are made like that. And the Peruvian 3 brands, I don't know what they're called. The third one, though, I know what that one's called. It's called Incahuasi, because it's fantastic. The potatoes they make these potato chips with are so fresh that you can still taste the potato after it's been fried, even though it's not very thick. It's amazing. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Maybe I'm being tricked somehow, like they're putting oil on the chips after they make them, but these are the freshest, crispiest, without being burnt at all, perfect potato chips I've ever had. Inkawasi. If I could get these, I don't know if I would get them instead of kettle chips. And I was just about to say that, but I would certainly love to compare the two. Yeah, they're a little different because they are fluffier. They're more aerated because they're actually fried here. What I can say is I'm at least as happy eating these papas picantes, jalapeno fried or spicy pepper fried potato chips as I am getting kettle chips. And these cost, of course, nothing on the dollar. How much are these? They're expensive considering. Yeah, a big bag, like 250 grams, is like 9 soles. So that's more than the cost of a full meal. But that's still super cheap compared to other prices, and you're getting more in the bag. It's a lot. Anyway, I buy these fantastic potato chips, and then I'll buy 1 carrot, one, like I said, a 25-cent piece that's a fourth of a cabbage or something, an onion, a ricotta pepper, just one tiniest pepper I can find because they are very spicy. And sometimes I get a beet or something like that, but I'll get those usually 4 fresh vegetables, mince them up as best I can. All I have is a cleaver here. I don't have a food processor, which would make this so much easier. Maybe I should just buy one, but they don't have any manual ones. They only have the electronic ones, and I don't really want an electronic one. I'm a hippie. I want to manually process my food. Manually, manos, Latin, hand. So I dice them up with my big cleaver on my cutting board, which still doesn't take that long. And then in a big bowl, I throw in some vinaigrette, some ranch, something like that. Mustard, the uchukuta, which is ricotta pepper pureed with a bunch of spices mixed in. And whatever else I have. Oh, fresh garlic paste. They have huge bags of fresh garlic paste. I have to go buy one tomorrow, actually, because I just used the last of mine up. Put in a bunch of that fresh ginger paste and then mix that all up. And it's an explosion of flavor. And I just eat that like a dip. I don't use too much sauce. It's not like actual dip. There's just a coating of all these fresh garlic, ginger, pepper sauce on these minced vegetables, and I eat that with these crispy potato chips. And baby, oh baby, that's gonna be like this whole minced dip thing that I do. That's such a good party dish to bring. Like the hot pot chicken hearts that I make are super good. You cut the chicken hearts in half and then just use hot pot with Chinese hot pot, and you just let it simmer for an hour. And that's going to be, everyone's going to love that. It's totally delicious, but it does take a long time. And you do have to get it right. Like if you get bad chicken hearts or whatever, all that kind of stuff, this really enjoyable, pretty much just as easy. So I actually have 2 dishes now. I hope someone invites me to a party when they're in the mood again, because I'm definitely going to try bringing this dip. And it looks super fancy because it's very colorful and the flavors are so strong. But really, all you have to do is choose extremely fresh vegetables when you make it, mince everything together, put on fresh garlic paste, fresh ginger paste, the uchukuta, some good sauces and spices, and you've got a meal, baby. And of course, it's vegetable, so it's not going to feel very oily and heavy. Everyone can eat it like a party, and you can make, it's vegetable, so it's cheap to make, so you can make as much as you want. I made that hot pot heart thing, and it was great, but that probably cost me like 3 times as much, even though it was super cheap, because, I mean, compared to American prices, because chicken hearts are cheap to get, and the spice goes a long way. But still, this is even cheaper. Except with the potato chips, maybe it evens out. If you bring the potato chips, which you should, because you don't want them to have like Lay's potato chips with this amazing minced vegetable mix. This crappy piece of crap Lay's will just break everywhere. So you're going to have to bring real kettle chips, baby, and that's going to up the price. But it's worth it. If you're always bringing a meat dish, you can bring a vegetable dish sometimes. Well, we made it just about 40 minutes just talking about food, which are, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. They are the 5 of the first 6 entries in what I was going to talk about, but I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 75. About 75 or 80 things to talk about. And this Ramble On episode is just about the first 5 things because they're about food, and then I just couldn't stop talking about food. You know what? Hang on, I'm going to try and think of other food stuff since I'm talking. Oh, there's so much other food stuff to talk about, actually. Jesus. Okay, let's talk about a couple more things before we wrap up the episode, because there are more food things. One, they don't have duck neck here, but they do have chicken neck here. Or maybe they have duck neck somewhere, but they definitely have chicken neck here. And I thought I was getting chicken wings, and I got 2 from 2 different ladies, and that was only $175 for an order of vegetables, like a fresh salad, and then a thing of rice, and then 5 chicken necks for $175 from 2 different street ladies because I want to try the different cooked. But when I got it home, oh wait, there were 2 different ones, but 15. So I guess you get 7 or 8 chicken necks with each one. I guess chicken necks aren't popular because they're very cheap here. They're good is the end of that. They fry them good, they taste good, and they're clearly very, very, very fresh. And I was really surprised because I hadn't seen chicken necks or duck necks around anywhere. But like I said, their cuisine is so varied, and they have a huge deli counter. They use all the meat. So I was kind of surprised I didn't see necks, but you can get them at the fresh market deli counters. And I was very happy to have some necks for tasty, yummy food. It made me kind of want to go find an Asian store and get some hot pot spices. But, you know, it's crazy. I haven't done that, even though I think there are Asian supermarkets, just because the Peruvian's so good. The Peruvian food is already so good. And I want to try all of it. I want to make sure I try all of it. That every day there's something new for me to go for. So I haven't needed to go get the Chinese spice to make my own food like I did in Panama. Panama has tons of fantastic food, and I could eat it every day, but I wanted... Maybe it's because I ate so much in Panama, because I was there for 4 months just eating that Chinese hot pot, that I don't need it right now. Yeah, that's probably it, because Panamanian food is also crazy good and very international. Okay, also, culinary mystery solved. Most of the Chinese restaurants here are called Chifa restaurants, Chifa. Now, China is China, Chine is Chinese. They don't use those words here for Chinese food. They use Chifa. And I was like, what the frick is going on? Because it's the only country, Chinese food is pretty much everywhere around the world. And like I mentioned in another episode, it's always very expensive and usually not as good as the local food. So I don't know. Maybe it's just so much oil that locals... I don't know why people like it so much in other countries. Like I said, it's $6 for a local amazing Peruvian dish, or it's $17 for Chinese fried rice, which is like, guys, that's just Peruvian fried rice with more oil. I don't know what you're talking about. But those restaurants are packed here. Anyway, the names of these restaurants are peculiarly Chifa, and I couldn't find out why. And chaufa here is Peruvian fried rice, chaufa, and that obviously must have come from chow fan, which is the Chinese word for fried rice, chow fan. Chaufa is the Peruvian word for fried rice. So, chaufa, fried rice, and then I looked it up again, and it was like, chifa obviously comes from chirfan. And I was like, oh, doy. Chirfan means to eat food. And so when Chinese immigrants came over here, they always said chirfan, and Peruvians took that as chifa. So all the signs here, like huge signs, all say Chifa, chifa. So that probably comes from the Chinese word chirfan, to eat food. So mystery solved. That has been bugging me since I got here over a month ago. I've just been like, why would they have an F instead of just saying China, like Chinese food? Because they're not saying China, they're saying eat food. It's a loan word from chirfan. So I was very happy to discover that. You're welcome. Mystery solved. Anthropology degree accredited. Well, I am shocked that we made it this far just talking about the food, but that's a pretty solid episode. So It looks like there is more food stuff. Of course there is more food stuff in this list. I mean, yeah, that's not crazy at all. But thank you so much for listening. It's been really fun talking about food. It's obviously one of my favorite things to talk about, especially when I'm in such a rich culinary environment as Cusco. There's just so much food. It's amazing. There's so much good food, so much varied, good, strong flavored food that I can't shut up about it. So happy Ramble On Day. I'll talk to you soon. You can talk to me at bitofarambler@gmail.com or Bit of a Rambler on Lemmy and Blue Sky. I'm also a Bit of a Rambler on Twitch, and I have had one regular talking to me all the time and a couple people talking to me. If you have any travel questions and I'm on Twitch, that's what it's for, baby. I'll just give you a bunch of good, free, accurate travel advice for a very long time. The guy, oh my gosh, I didn't even talk about that. Oh, we got a lot to talk about, folks. Okay, I'm going to go, and on the next episode, this will be probably still about food, but there will be a bunch of other interesting things that have happened recently as well. Talk to you soon. Thank you again.